I can't complain.
Full on fantasy football season, so getting the drafts in and out, left and right, and you know how that could go.
Gotta be on Underdog, hitting up those best ball lobbies. No better place on the planet to do so.
Sure.
If you want to take Drake May in like your last pick, there's a chance he's playing the last couple of weeks of the season. I would be against it, but that's a chance.
I mean, there's a chance he's playing the first week of the season, though.
No.
What he Brissett got named the starter, I'm assuming, or
yeah, he was always going to start. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, I didn't.
He was always going to start. I mean, Drake played well towards the end of training camp in the last two preseason games. Mm-hmm. The line continues to be terrible. I had someone tell me, he only took one sack in the preseason. It's like, yeah, he was playing with the twos going up against other twos and threes. Our ones were getting demolished by other ones and other twos. So that's where it's like, I don't know if that's the stat I'm using. But there are a lot of points that I've seen. It's just like, if he's good enough, him getting the shit kicked out of him for the first few weeks won't really matter long term, which isn't not true. You know what I mean? There is some truth to that. Would I prefer him to go through that? No, no, not necessarily. And it's like there's this confluence of Patriots fans who still believe Mac Jones is good and the Patriots were the problem. If that's your opinion, you know, this is the country we live in. You're allowed to have opinions, no matter how many letters I write to our government banning them. But if that's your opinion and you also want Drake May to start week one, like, this is why you don't deserve opinions, because those
that doesn't add
directly conflict with one another. Like, you can't be like they threw Mac Jones into the fire and didn't get him any weapons and had bad offensive line play. Also, let's do it again with Drake May. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I like what I've grown to like what they've done with the weapons. I think Javon Baker could be a player. But if the logic is I'm just not going to send him out there to get his brains beat in for the first however many weeks, months, however, I can't argue with that. Like, I've seen what their first team offensive line has put on film. It's not good. I've seen it.
It's bad. It's also, Mayo's obviously a first-time head coach. Alex Van Pelt, the offensive coordinator, has called one game ever in his career, and it was the Browns win over the Steelers, which I believe the Browns defense scored 3 touchdowns in that game.
Yeah, it was a playoff game, right?
Yeah, the playoff game, because Stefanski was on Big Cove hours, so he couldn't be there. Yeah. And I don't like that. Doesn't bother me a ton. I think he can work with quarterbacks. Like, I don't know that offensive coordinator for what we need right now necessarily needs to be great at calling plays as much as he is at developing a quarterback. So that's where that doesn't bother me much, but that's obviously going to be part of his job. So he still has to learn that. So you have a new head coach learning how to be a head coach. You have basically a new offensive coordinator learning how to be an offensive coordinator. And you've got a rookie quarterback. Like, the whole point to signing Jacoby was so that all of these people could learn together and not also force a rookie quarterback into that situation. We get to week one, everyone's like, got to start May. Despite like the 3 best quarterbacks of the last 20 years, none of them doing that. But, you know, just throw him out there, I guess.
I wasn't even aware he was, to show you how up to date I am. I wasn't even aware Brissett was named starter. I thought he was going to be that. I just didn't know it was official yet.
Yeah, it was this morning. It wasn't like it was. You missed.
Oh, it was this morning. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I wasn't around this morning,
but he was also named it when they signed him. You know what I mean? Like, it was.
Yeah, it was. They did it without doing it. Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
Yeah, like Drake played well enough where Mayo felt he had to have a separate press conference to tell everyone. I don't know. It always felt pretty obvious to me, like, this is why he's here. Maybe the offensive line looks better a couple weeks in. You know what I mean? Good. Let them get their growing pains out of the way without the rookie quarterback back there. It seems
is
pretty obvious.
The type to hold the ball for a long time? I don't think.
No.
Okay, so the offensive line could probably stand to look better with him because he's going to make quicker decisions.
Yeah, and it's also like May's athletic, like he's not Mac, where he's just going to stand there and get hit. So he is athletic enough.
Make a fucking scoot, man.
Yeah, he can. He's an athlete. All of him, every brother in that family went D1. Like, it's an athletic family. Luke May won a national championship with North Carolina to play basketball. His other two brothers, I think one played baseball. I can't remember what the other one did. I think he was basketball, but end of the bench. Not a shot. He just wasn't that tall. But every brother in that, and he's the youngest. So I'm very high on him based off that alone. Like, if you're going to take, really for any sport, I believe this to be true. Like the Gronkowskis, you knew one of them was going to pop, and I think three of them made the NFL. One of them was obviously going to wear a gold jacket. Those guys were just beating the fuck out of each other for 18 years. You can't pay for that kind of training. Like, you really can't. You absolutely can't find that anywhere else.
That's true.
Drake May, for sure, got the shit beat out of him every day. Like, I don't think he's worried about taking some sacks, but I'd also rather him not get all those piled up to him when we're not trying to win this year anyways. Like, we can't. It's like, it's not an option.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots are probably going to finish in last place.
Like, in the whole league?
I'm at the East, but
sure, yeah,
I'm at the East, but it's not out of the. They'd have to be. I think they're going to win like 6 games by default. But
yeah, the defense is still good, even if I don't love what happened with Barmore and Judon. The defense, like the secondary, still should be elite. The linebackers should be solid. Like, the defense should still be really good. Last year, if the offense had been league average, and we'll get to baseball, but this is still the ad read for Underdog. Last year, if the offense had been 16th, not great, not bad, just league average, they would have won 11 games. That's if their defense had done nothing else. Now, obviously, the defense would have been better because they would have been on the field the whole fucking game if the offense had been league average. The offense was like 29th or something last year.
Yeah, they suck.
By the way, for all the belly aching about Jacoby, it's still an upgrade over last year. I don't think enough people are talking about that. Massive upgrade over what we were dealing with last year.
So am I, and so are you.
Sure, I don't disagree, but it's like Polk and Baker, even Kayshawn, Pop, Taekwon, all of them also benefit from Jacoby, at least for a couple of weeks. Let them have their first game action for the first couple of weeks. Be with someone who's done it before. Then you want to get May in there? Fine with that. I have no problem with him sitting, and I can't believe when we all agreed back at the draft that the idea was to sit him. Now all of a sudden we've forgotten that plan.
They saw him make a few good throws, and they got hypnotized, man. So
I get it, but it's like I don't know. Like, we just saw Mahomes sit a year. You know what I mean? Like, we just saw that happen, and it's not like Drake May went third, by the way. Whether or not I'm high on him is irrelevant. He was the third quarterback taken. It's not like this is a sure thing. I don't understand the rush.
There shouldn't be one. And the thing is, the only thing I'll push back on with regard to sitting or throwing him out there, people on both sides like to act like there's one hard and fast way to go about this that's going to work. And it's like, it depends on the player, depends on the circumstance, depends on a lot of shit. For the most part, if a guy is the guy, he's going to be the guy regardless. Like, yes, obviously I don't think the Patriots are necessarily bad, like surroundings wise. They have a whole bunch of question marks. They have a first-time coach, first-time coordinator, blah blah blah. It's not like the Chargers before Herbert, before Harbaugh, where you kind of knew, like, all right, he's gonna have to overcome some shit. This is all right. They got to grow together, whatever, blah blah blah. But there's no hard and fast way to go about it. We'll see what happens with him. He's gonna play this year, so it's not like they're saying, oh, we're just gonna redshirt him the whole year. Brissett's not. No disrespect, but he's not good enough to keep him on the bench the whole year. I'm assuming that's not the plan anyway either.
No, it's not. But it's also like, what's the biggest long-term benefit? And to me, it's having as high of a draft pick as possible. If they do stink and get that number 1 overall pick, I see that as best case scenario. It's like reverse of what Chicago did. Like, you already have your Caleb Williams, quote, like, hopefully, you know what I mean? You have your quarterback of the future already. Mm-hmm. So if you're sitting there, if Carson Beck has the seat, like, there will be a team I know people were higher on this year's. That's what I mean. The Giants come immediately to mind, but there will be a team that's just so desperate for anyone, they'll trade up for that number 1 pick. If the Patriots have that, and you can get a haul, and then you can take your tackle, you can draft another receiver, you can sign a receiver because we'll have all that cap space. That to me seems like the best course of action. Do people around here have the patience to? Does LeMahieu have the luxury of going 2-15? I don't know. I really don't know.
He's a former Patriot. He probably does.
I would hope so. I mean, they signed him before Belichick even left, so he was. Right. You would. I think as long as the defense looks good, there'll be enough where he's just like, hey, that's my side of the ball. Like the defense showed up. As long as he can point to that, I think he's okay.
Same.
But Polk, mid-rounds, I think Polk's going to be amazing. I was very high on really all of the Washington receivers. I was the least high on Odunze, weirdly enough. Not that I think he's bad. I just think the other two, especially where they were projected to go, I was higher on that. Like a second, third round pick. I think McMillan maybe even went 4th. Yeah, like that's what I mean. McMillan, if you're in any of these best balls, if you're looking week to week, I mean, what's his name in Tampa last year? Godwin did not look like himself last year at all. And I know he was coming off injury, but if you still think, even with Canales going to Carolina, if you still think that Tampa offense against those NFC South defenses is going to be okay, and obviously the Saints have a good defense, but if you think Baker and Mike Evans are still going to be deadly like they were last year, someone's going to have to catch some other targets. McMillan, late round flyer, love it, absolutely love it.
I think he's a longer term player, but I like all of the receivers just like you do. I think all of them have long term ish kind of value. So,
I mean, I think Polk has immediate value, genuinely immediate.
I think he does too. I wonder how. I tend to pause a little bit with Polk because I don't know what the playing time splits are going to look like. I know how they should look. I know he should get most of the snaps. We know NFL teams, sometimes they do some shit that doesn't make sense. Sometimes they believe and you have to earn it. All that kind of nonsense. He's the best receiver on the team. Like I think that's fair. Like Baker might be long term. I don't know. Like you could pick or choose between them. I think it's fair to say one of them is the best receiver on the team. They got to go out there and prove it.
It's weird because like Baker has such big play potential, and then like when I interviewed him with 89, he literally dropped his phone mid-interview. Like, you know what I mean? Like that. You talk about how as red of a flag can be.
Dropping his phone is crazy.
Mid-interview, and it was funny. And he like, I don't think drops get to him, which I appreciate. Like you're going to drop passes. It happens. Right. But 89 comped him to Brandon Lloyd, and I was just like, yeah, that's pretty perfect. Like Brandon Lloyd would make the most absurd highlight reel catch you've ever seen, and then you'd throw him a screen, and it would be like you'd never seen
it's a 50-50 shot. Like, is he gonna catch it or is he not? But like, if you throw him a fucking jump ball on 3rd and 18, with 2 people around, like that's a 90-10 ball.
Right, exactly.
It was insane. Yes,
exactly. Polk to me, he doesn't have like crazy top end speed, but one thing that stood out to me at the combine, there were reports, and obviously this was the combine. This was before anyone drafted him. So this wasn't like, oh, Patriot propaganda. This was during the combine. He ran his 40. It wasn't anything crazy. It was like 4.5, I want to say. And there were multiple scouts there furious it wasn't slower because they wanted him to slide, knowing like they don't give a fuck about the 40. Like they just want him because of what he can do on the field. And Polk's a duck. Like I think Polk's gonna be really good. Tyquan Thornton all of a sudden is I thought he was going to get cut coming into training camp. Now he's like wide receiver 1 on the team, which is like they do have a weird amount of talent in terms of college talent on the team, whether or not it becomes pro. Pop obviously last year looked really good. He's also a tiny fellow, so we'll see how he holds up. And he's a slot receiver. But as long as Bourne's out, which will be a minimum 4 weeks because he's on the was it Pop? Yeah, Pop's 4 weeks. I think Polk's going to get a lot of burn immediately. And then by the time Bourne comes back, now you've got a different conversation. Did he do enough to make it so that Taekwon gets moved? Are they going more receiver sets? But Polk immediately, I'm going to be smashing hires on Sundays. I know that much.
I won't be, but I respect the optimism. I like the player too. So we are in agreement on that much.
Like the one player I'm struggling with, I believe you drafted in our league, was Neighbors.
For once, I hadn't commented on this to you, but for once we coexisted in the same draft room, and I didn't want to reach through the phone and choke you. For once, it was great. It was peaceful. Well, we weren't after the same players, except Cup.
You pushed me on a couple of guys, which I was fucking furious about because I was
on Cup. I don't
right, which.
I'll push on Cup. But
the other one, you didn't push me that far. You made him like $3 more expensive, which is even more annoying. Like,
I spent the entire draft price checking in a way that I usually don't. But like Jonathan, like you're not going to get him for 14. Hike that up, big dog, and
sure
25. You with Cup, it was like I wanted Cup or Neighbors. That was just it was like, all right. If I get Cup, great. If I don't, I'm not exactly sweating over it because I believe. I very, very much believe I'm all in with Neighbors. As I spent $25 on him, I'm all in.
Sure. Yeah. Like I believe in the player too. I hate that they unretired number one to give it to him. Like I'm not
gonna lie. That's the one thing that made me pause with regard to Neighbors. I'm like, that's a little strange to me. I don't. That's a little weird to me, but okay.
Can't stand it.
No, number one's a great number though. So
great number, right? But it's not even what he wore in college. Like he didn't wear in one.
I know. That's what made it weird to me. I'm like, what is your attachment to the number one?
Sick number, no doubt. Sick number. Right. Most teams don't have it because it's typically the first number that got retired for the team. You know what I mean? Like, and that was, I believe, the first number ever retired. I know it wasn't football, but the way I read the release, it was like the first time anyone had ever retired a number was number one for the Giants.
I didn't even read the release. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. I mean, the Giants are old as hell, and
that's what I mean. Yeah, I think it's their 100th year.
I wouldn't be surprised. Shit, like be surprised. But yeah, so I was like, do I really want to be all in on this guy after this? Like, I don't. That's the first thing that made me pause. The first thing, and that's with Daniel Jones being his fucking quarterback. But that's neither.
That's what I mean. Like Neighbors, for me, I like getting rookie receivers that I can keep at like a reasonable price. That's why I have Justin Jefferson for $15 still. It's why I've had so many people over the years. And now anytime I start bidding on a rookie wide receiver, everyone else fucking jacks the price up. And it's like, all right, I guess I'm just not getting.
It's not just you. Let me tell you, it's just not just you. Because for once, when I saw that your money was down and there were still like lots of rookie receivers, I'm like, oh, finally, he's out of the way. Everybody else wasn't. That's the problem. Because like Brian Thomas,
they weren't.
$15. Xavier
Worthy went 17. It was like, what the fuck's going
Xavier
on?
Worthy went for even more than that.
That was the one I was never going to be on that. I think he went for like 25, 22, like, something that.
Bro. Like, no, I stopped
get it.
At like 8. I was like, this is too rich for my blood. I saw it keep going up. I'm like, okay, great. Keep going up. Spend that money, baby. Spend it.
Like, I got Jaden Reed last year for $1. Love it. Like, you know what I mean? Those are the kind of rookies I'm allowed to even look at anymore. When everyone else is filled up, like I got Jermaine
any
Burke.
Rookie has like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Those guys ruin the game. Simple. Those guys ruin the game because now.
But even by the time we got to Chase, he was expensive. Like he wasn't. He sat out the year.
He was $12. He started at 12.
Was it that little?
Yeah, it was that little. He started at 12. Why I remember that so quickly, I have no fucking idea. But it was. I can tell you it was $12.
Yeah, for some reason I thought it was more.
Yeah, because remember that was the offseason where he was dropping everything in practice too.
He was. Yeah.
He was dropping everything in practice. Oh, can he really catch? Was he a college merchant? I was like, okay, great. Please keep telling me he's a college merchant. I'll take him. Thank you.
I wrote about that at the time, and people only read the headline. People were furious at me. And like my whole gripe with that is he was specifically complaining like, oh, the ball doesn't have the white stripes on it in the NFL. I'm used to looking for that. And my whole thing was like, you just took the whole year off. You kept practicing with college balls. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You were never going to play college football again. Like, that was your choice.
That's a fair ass question to ask.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not used to the NFL. I'm used to the white line. So what the fuck were you doing for a year, Jamar? You weren't playing. You sat out. You knew you were going to sit out. You knew you were going to go to the NFL. You knew you weren't going to play with the footballs with the white stripes on them again. You knew this. And then that was the thing that came out your mouth when you got to the pros. Like,
insane.
I don't understand that.
Yeah. Insane. But it's my first year without Mahomes. Let him go because the price was just too prohibitive. And I mean, quiet as it's kept, that's a great reality versus fantasy guy right there. He has been the best quarterback in fantasy before.
Yes.
Multiple times, I believe. Last year, I think he was like 7 or 9,
he was like
something like that.
This could be heaven. Yeah.
So that's where it's just like, all right, I don't love their receiver core as is. Kelsey's getting up there in age too, and even last year there were times where it was a slog in the regular season before he became himself again in the playoffs. I kind of think that's the kind of time they're going to be on again this year, and it's like, do I want to allocate most of my draft capital towards that? Not necessarily. So I got Herbert, which I don't love either, but I'm
I'm just glad that we could just outright buy players now. So I appreciate that I appreciate that rule change so much. I got CJ Stroud, and I'm not like a huge CJ Stroud enthusiast from a purely redraft perspective this year because I think it's going too high. But I got him for what I think is $7 to keep him. So great, I'll take that every day of the week. All I have to
plus
do is
whatever you paid for it.
Yeah, all I have to do is give him $4. So I'm not going to need this $4. I'm good. I'm not going to.
No. I got DJ Moore, who was, what did he go for? 17?
It made my
18.
skin itch. It made my skin itch when I was for that. It made my I was like, oh fuck, man. Because I was like, all right, because at that point I don't think Neighbors had went yet.
No, he hadn't. It was very early in the draft, which is a good time to get, like last year, AJ Brown went crazy cheap.
Don't, bro. I showed up to the draft like 5 minutes late. I'm still mad about that. A year fucking later, you went for like $28. I was like, oh.
Well, I'm mad about it because I bid, and it happened again this year where I was bidding on someone and just stopped allowing me to and kicked me out of the room, and I had to come back and like, gee, fucking thanks. But yeah, AJ Brown last year, I was like, this feels cheap.
It was.
Didn't allow me to do it.
I got it right after, and I saw like, oh, AJ Brown, $28. I'm like, fuck.
So Cup I didn't necessarily want, but I was doing Section 10 while the draft was happening. So I was trying to handle multiple things at once. And it was at that point of the draft where I'm looking at the board and it's like, I have too much money. There were no running backs this year. It was a terrible year if you wanted a running back or needed a running back.
Yeah, you had to overpay for him. I would just say, we could play 4 wide receivers. This is a full PPR league. Bro, I will just spend the entire year throwing darts at running back, and we'll see if some of them land. I mean, I bought most of it for you. I was like, all right, if he's just RB21, please, fine, I'll take it. I'll be done with it. And then I bid on like Jerome Ford, like fine, just get me to October, and then whatever happens on my bench happens.
Yeah, it was so that when I'm looking at the board, I'm like, there's no wide receivers I want to give this money to. I know the rookies are going to be too expensive to the point where I'm not even going to want to keep them. And then Cup's nominated. It's like, I've never had Cooper Kupp. Let's give it a go. And that was like $30. And it was like, I could have used that $30 better for sure. No doubt. But if he's even 80% of a regular Cup season, I'll have no problem paying that.
Listen, I wanted to pay it. Like, like my max was 25. The only reason I went to 30 is because you were fucking big on him. Like, I'm just gonna be honest, full disclosure. It was like, oh, if it's me and Mick, okay, I can hike this up a little bit. And then once you said you were doing the Section 10 show, like my brain works how it works. So I was like, he's not gonna really operate like somebody who really wants to be here that long, is he? So I was like, all right, he can spend a few more dollars. All right, he's straight. And then
it's
for 30.
The other part of it is you have to stay there the longest because then you only have $2 to your max the rest of the time. So it's like, all right, I just got to sit and wait while people like no one uses the pass function, which infuriates me every year. Like if you know you're not bidding, pass. I know part of it's you want to drive the price up on some people, but if you're just sitting there waiting, doing nothing, like you're an asshole.
I use the pass button. I don't have time to sit there and just like also I use the pass button for completely different reasons. I'm just paranoid that like my fat ass fingers are gonna just accidentally press the wrong time, and then I'm gonna end up with Derrick Henry for $47. I'm like, oh God, come on.
All right, what did I get Henry for? 37.
Right, like I don't want to be the guy getting him for 38.
Which is it was $1 less to than if I'd kept him outright. So I saved $1 there.
Yeah, saving money, baby. Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, there was no one else. There was like I thought Bijan was going to hit free agency because he got drafted at like 65 last year. Nope, they just kept him for 70.
McCaffrey was kept for like $78. yeah. Barkley was kept for a lot of money. And like looking at the running back market, I can't even necessarily blame you. It would never be me, but I can understand. I get it.
Yeah, there was like I traded for Tajay Spears from you, who I'm very high on. That was Mostert for Spears and $5. So I was like, I'll basically keeping most Spears for free.
Yeah, I really didn't want to do that. I'm not gonna lie to you because I feel like I was helping you. But
yeah, I don't know why you did it. To be
for my peace of mind. Legitimately, that's only like I don't give a fuck. $5, given what my plan is, $5 is not going to matter to me.
Yeah, sure. I understand your plan.
Yeah, I'm just like, all right, whatever, bro. I know what Mostert. Well, I think I know what Mostert is. I know what his ceiling is. I don't think he's hitting that again, but I know what his ceiling is.
Sure,
I can just throw him out there if he gets me 12 points a week. Given that my wide receivers are probably going to be the best in the league, hey man, just give me the 12 points and we could go and be done with it. Thank you.
I mean, if Kupp's himself, you don't have the best receivers in the league.
I absolutely have the best receivers in the league.
I have Justin Jefferson, DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp, and Terry McLaurin, and then Jaden Reed off.
Brother, Amari Cooper is my 5th receiver. You don't have better receivers than me. You don't.
That's good.
I have Jamar Chase. I have CeeDee Lamb.
Not playing.
Collins.
You let off with someone who's not even playing.
Allegedly.
My wide receiver one. He doesn't play football, but he's good.
Allegedly, he's not playing.
Yeah, Martavis Bryant. Yeah, who else?
That man, Randy Moss. Yeah, Randy Moss on my bench.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Jamar Chase, Nico Collins, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Malik Neighbors. You don't have a better receiver corner than me.
Neighbors. I mean, I like Malik Neighbors, the talent. He's got me throwing to him. That's where it's like, if we were lining up in the schoolyard, horrifying. In the real world, I don't know if Malik Neighbors is going to be doing much.
He's going to be so
that's
open,
not his fault.
It's not going to matter.
Huh?
He's going to be so open. It's not going to matter.
Have you seen Daniel Jones?
Has Daniel Jones had a receiver as good as Malik Neighbors? He has not. Short answer: he has not. He has not.
No.
You don't have to think about that.
I was trying to think if he overlapped with Odell at all.
No, he didn't. Like they traded him right. I think they traded him right as Daniel Jones arrived, if I'm not mistaken. Like right before they picked him.
It's probably right before, yeah.
Yeah, right before they picked him. He has not had a receiver this good.
Sure, I'm not debating that.
Exactly.
I am debating. I've seen him not be able to throw to just wide open people. It's not like
him not being able to throw to Wan'Dale Robinson is not my problem. Malik Neighbors is a different beast, and we're gonna see it.
Malik Neighbors is awesome, but to say he counts is absurd to me.
Okay, I mean then he's my wide receiver 5. Okay, fine.
Sure.
We can play that game if you want.
Okay,
Jaden said it's my wide receiver 6.
If he has the season that Jaden Reed had last year, it'll be a good rookie season.
That would be a disappointment.
It wouldn't. It'd be a good rookie season, given the Giants really don't understand the forward pass and really don't I mean, unbelievable season.
He had, and Jaden Reed was wildly successful. I'm not trying.
Yeah, he had a great year for a rookie. That was a great year.
Like it's kind of unfortunate he's on a team with like 17 intriguing wide receivers. It's kind of unfortunate in that way. It's weird.
Yeah, it's why he's my 5. That's why I had to go get.
Yeah. I've been trying to trade my dynasty shares not because I hate the player, but because like I don't really feel like playing should we start Jaden Reed this week? This team is good versus zone defense. I don't feel like doing all that shit. I just feel like trading for somebody who I think I can start every week. But
also, I mean, at one point, Shakir got drafted for I think like $3. Like it wasn't a lot. Mm-hmm. And someone commented like for Buffalo's wide receiver 1, he's not Buffalo's wide receiver 1. Dalton Kincaid is.
It's true.
Which is a fact, and I have him.
That's true. I can't really argue that. Dalton Kincaid for $7, whatever you kept him for. I think it was 7.
I think it was 8. I think I drafted him for 3. I think
that's a good keep. That's a good keep.
Yeah. So when we're talking receivers, I feel like that should count. Who is your tight end? I have no idea.
Kyle Pitts.
So you don't have a tight end. Interesting. So
Not
again, it's a strategy.
Not good. Kirk Cousins is in town. Okay.
Is he?
Yes. He's in town. Kirk Cousins is in town. They got a new OC. Things are looking up now.
DJ Moore was putting up 1,200 yards with a running or the kick returner throwing to him.
Who was it? Oh. I mean, touche.
One would argue he got an upgrade.
DJ Moore doing all that. Granted, it might work out better for him in the long run, but DJ Moore doing all of that and like finally having like the breakout we all thought he could have, and then they're like, all right, well, we're gonna replace the guy who's throwing you the ball. It's funny. I know that they had to. I get it, but I just imagine him being like, damn. Finally, I get a guy I'm cool with, and then you just.
I think he's probably happy with how things show.
Oh yeah. I'm not disputing. I would imagine it took him like 2 minutes of a practice for him to be like,
sure,
okay, this is gonna work out.
Yeah,
this is gonna be fine.
And Terry, I mean, if Jaden, like I've said before, Jaden Daniels, I'm not high on long term because he takes some Looney Tune ass hits. Year one, I'm high on Jaden Daniels. So Terry was someone I would have paid more for. I think I paid 24 for him.
I like Terry. I don't know if I like him $24 much, but I paid 25 for a rookie, so I can't really say.
Right,
anything.
that's what I mean. Like
I can't say anything, so
he's also someone who's put up big numbers with dog shit thrown to him. So it's like, yeah, I don't
know about big numbers, but he's put up nice numbers. He's put up 5 numbers. He's good. We know he's good. Like he's never had a season like DJ Moore had last year, for example. Like that's big numbers to me, at least.
Yeah, I mean, he's never had less than 919 yards. He did that as a rookie. Every other year has been 1,100, almost 1,100, 1,200, and 1,000.
From a real life perspective, I'm a big Terry McLaurin enthusiast, so I hope it works out.
Yeah, I mean, that's my 4. Like, that's I know what you're saying in terms of is he like a top 5 wide receiver?
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, if I had more money, if I walked in with, I only walked in with $90. If I had more money, I'd be looking at people like Terry too, but.
Right.
The game was the game. I was too busy trying to make up for the fact that I did not have 5 keepers I liked. So I was paying for people like Raheem Mostert. So I was like, all right, that's a sacrifice you take.
And I mean, my team hinges on if Jonathan Taylor is going to be Jonathan Taylor or not. If he is, I think I have the best team in the league. If he's not, it's going to be a tough season.
I mean, I think I have the best team in the league, but also like I don't have any reliable running backs outside of Raheem Mostert. So it's
right.
Hard to say that. But it's like if 4 of my receivers just do what they're supposed to do, I think I have the best team in the league. But we're gonna see.
I mean, there could I'm high on Nico Collins. I have been since he came into the league. The reason he wasn't on my team last year is because I gave up on him because his first 2 years were so bad. With Diggs there, with Tank Dell healthy, it's not unrealistic to think his numbers take a step back, even if the talent in the real world is still the same.
Of course. Like we don't know how that's gonna pan out until it pans out.
No,
I personally, I'm always just gonna bet against the older dudes because yes, I'm an ageist, sure. I'm always gonna bet against the older dudes. So it's like I think, like I want to draft as much of Nico Collins and Tank Dell as possible because I think they're both gonna flourish. Like Diggs is the one I'm avoiding personally.
Yeah, Diggs was someone I considered too, but the track record of receivers on their third team, especially ones that have ascended to his height. Like Moss's third team was obviously the Patriots, but that would be assuming he was great on the Raiders, which we know he wasn't. So
yes,
all I can think of is like T.O. T.O.'s the only guy I can think of who was elite on 3 different teams and was still good on teams 4 and 5. They were
was basically good till he fucking retired. And
right.
He didn't really retire, quote unquote.
No, he never put in. He's in the Hall of Fame though, so he must have put in his paperwork.
Yeah, he did. But I mean, like, sorry to rephrase that, he didn't really retire when he was done. Like his last game happened, and then he was looking for work, and they were like, no. And then
that's still looking for
it, pretty much. And there's
his last season with Cincinnati put up 983 yards.
Wasn't that like 2011?
2010.
2010.
He was 37. He put up 983 yards, 13.7.
Like it was the Barry Bonds.
9 touchdowns. It's outrageous.
Yeah, it was the Barry Bonds. It was the same shit. Like he was still useful up until the last game he played, and then they were just like, "Oh, we're not going to sign you. We're done. Thanks."
Yeah, very strict. Because even the Buffalo year, I can't even. Is that Trent Edwards in 2009? JP Lossman, like it wasn't someone good.
Ryan Fitzpatrick. I don't know if it was just him,
somebody.
but he was there. Yes.
829 yards. He had a 98-yard reception during the season. Yeah. Even this last year, he had a 78-yard reception. Like that's outrageous for a 37-year-old.
He was a freak. Is a freak. Freak out.
Right. He beat the shit out of someone at CVS last year. Like that's just what he does. I would take listen, we're talking about late round picks, especially for best ball. Take Terrell Owens. I'm sure he's still in the system because Rudman's made it so that if you've ever played football, you stay in underdog system, which is smart.
Our Rudman's getting strays right now. It's great.
No, it's not a stray. There was somebody. Okay. No, it was like the second or third year of underdog best ball. Someone unretired. Like it may have been Gronk even. It may have been Gronk when he came back with Tampa. But it was somebody, and he wasn't in the system because he was retired. And so it caused this big fucking to-do trying to get him back in there for drafts and everything. And people were and this was before I was even with the company, but he tells the story every year. It's like, if you retire, if you're at 6 feet deep, you will still be draftable just in case something happens. You can get drafted on underdog, which I appreciate. That's the way to do it.
Tom Brady going to be in the system for the next 30 years.
Oh, has to be. Tom could still play. Tom would be unbelievable.
That man's not coming back.
He's not, but he could.
No, I know he could. But I've seen rumors basically every year since he retired.
Oh, of course.
I say every year, like it hasn't been one. It's been one, right? Sorry, I say it feels like way more than one. I don't know.
Well, he had he was going to retire before last year, and then Schefter fucked it up. That's why it feels like.
Okay, yeah, right. He did have the fake retirement. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but like that man about to make like $75 million to talk. He ain't coming back.
Well, it's not today.
Yeah.
Because he's still trying to buy the Raiders. He's not allowed access to like interview players before games because he's technically an owner of or trying to be an owner of another team. Which feels like what's he gonna? You think he's recruiting players to the Raiders?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to prevent with that. I feel like that's one of those things where you just like it just feels like something that should be banned, so we're gonna ban it. I don't feel like there was any like actual thought process like steps here. It's just, oh, you're trying to own a team. Okay, you can't be interviewing players. You can't be just rubbing elbows with them like that.
Well, it's specifically going into their facilities to talk to them. Like I do think it's smart from a historical perspective. Banning whoever owns the Raiders from going into other teams' facilities and talking to their players seems like a good idea. Like I understand that with Al Davis and like you definitely didn't want that guy lurking around your equipment room. Like that's for sure understood. I don't know that it's the same here, but who knows? Like Tom will bend a rule or two. He's not immune.
Really? Really? He would bend a rule? When did he ever do that?
Listen. That's why you don't break them, you bend them. It's hard to see.
The Colts are still losers for that, by the way. But yes,
the Colts are tremendous losers.
Big losers. Like y'all lost 85-7 any fucking way. So what difference did it make? Losers.
It was cold out, and they suspended Tom 4 games. Love it.
They scored one more touchdown than we did. Fuck out of here.
It was January in New England. They were like, "This guy's cheating." This guy with his weather machine is just simply cheating. But yeah, go to Underdog. Football season is here. Download the app today. They're doing deposit match bonuses up to $1,000 now, which is like I have a family to feed, Rudman. Like you can't just be giving away money like this to people. I don't know. They got the new no sweat tokens. Like let's make it a little more difficult for people. I have no problem losing, but we're making it much easier for smarter people to not lose anymore. And doesn't sit well with my spirit.
I don't know if it's great business.
Listen, that's why they don't ask me. They don't ask me those kind of questions. I see you've changed your name. This doesn't show up to the people at home, but you changed your name to Fire Aaron Boone. I thought you didn't care about the manager.
I don't. But That is, you are so good at this. That is a perfect lead in. Thank you. And that's exactly why I put the name there. Okay, so in general, I do not care who manages the Yankees like that. Like, I'm gonna disagree with most people about baseball managers. I just don't think they have the impact other people do. Fine. Now that all of that's out of the way, I want Boone fired for one reason. And I understand that this is not wholly fair, and I'll explain why. But his obsession with bad contact-oriented hitters is insane, and it needs to be stopped. Now, it's unfair because he ain't the one acquiring them, number one. And number two, there you go, beating me to the punch again. And number two, the best player endorses them. So it ain't all Aaron Boone's fault that this is happening. Because there's a reason. Listen, there's a reason DJ's out there playing. That's Judge's man's. Verdugo's out there playing. That's Judge's man's. The IKF thing from 2 years, I can't explain that one. You got me on that one. I don't know what the fuck the reasoning was behind that shit. That happened, and then the playoffs came around, and then you realize, okay, this guy actually stinks. Even though we ran him out there every day for 6 months, like, okay, now we can't do it anymore. Whatever. Either way, listen, the obsession with those guys, like, they're playing DJ LeMahieu every day. Listen, I understand that Ben Rice had a fast start and he sucked ever since. I get it. I understand. At least I can say for Ben Rice, he walks during his malaise, which has been bad. He has not made good contact. No shit. Duh. He's walked 14% of the time. At least I could point to something where it's like, okay, he could tangibly help you at times with this. You're playing DJ LeMahieu at this point in hopes that he could keep his OPS above 500. What are we doing? Like, what? And it's not like, am I a big Oswaldo fan as far as being an everyday player? No. He's hit the ball well recently. You might as well fucking play him while he's doing that. And they're still running out DJ every single fucking day. And it's like, all right, if you root for a professional sports team, one of your teams has been befallen by sunk cost fallacy at least one time. At least. So we all know what this feels like. So at least they can make the excuse, like, I mean, they'll never say it out loud, but we still owe him $30 million. We need to exhaust every measure of trying to get something from him. I think it's ridiculous, but I'm not the one paying it, right? Okay. LeMahieu aside, the Verdugo thing is even more fucking perplexing because his contract runs out in 2 months. What are we? Jason Dominguez is in the minor leagues. I'm not even asking for Dominguez. That's the craziest part about this. Trent Grisham is better than Verdugo too. He's right there. He's on your bench. And, oh yeah, Verdugo plays good defense, this, that, there. That's great. But here's the thing. Your best defensive alignment doesn't even feature him. It features Grisham in center and Judge in left.
Right.
If you don't want to do that, I'm sure you have a reasoning, I guess. But it's like, I've now seen 3 different instances of Boone having this obsession with bad contact-oriented hitters, and we're in 2024. I've personally had enough. The in-game stuff, that goes either way. I think a lot of people are kind of unfair to him on that because the good shit he does do gets ignored, and then whenever he does some shit, and he does do stupid shit. Let me not say he doesn't. He does, but the good shit gets ignored, and I think he largely does more good than bad in-game wise. I think so. Now, the obsession with the bad contact hitters, I can't take it. I can't do it anymore. I've had all I could take. They gotta fire him. The problem is, the people responsible for firing him are the ones giving him the players. So I don't think it's going to happen.
No, and I mean, I couldn't be happier about the whole thing. The Yankees fans, I don't think, as a collective, I don't think you guys have enjoyed a second of this season. Like, Aaron Judge has, like a 7,000 OPS. Soto, I feel like he's been cool recently. He's still over 1,000 OPS. The rest of the team like largely stinks, but that's fine because you guys keep winning games despite it. But it, like, during the losing streak between June and July, May and June, whatever it was, and like that part I understood. Yeah, this stinks. The rest of the season's been great, and I feel like you guys all understand that if the playoffs don't end the way they won't end, you don't care.
I think they're going to win the championship. So I can't speak to what you're talking about here with this way they're going to end. I think they're going to win the chip. I mean,
for everything you just said, I don't know how they could.
No, but the thing with Boone, and this kind of makes it even more frustrating. The minute the playoffs start, all the politics goes out the window. Typically with the Yankees, like they don't do that shit anymore. Like if you're a bad starting pitcher and they get to playoffs, like yo, the first time you put 2 runners on, you out of the game. Like they're not going to play LeMahieu in the playoffs. Put that on record. They're not. They're not going to play him. Like
sure,
unless,
but even
yeah, go ahead.
Even IKF, they only sat him once it became an elimination game.
They did.
They were still trotting him out there until, which is what made every Yankee fan explode. It was like, now you're saying he's not good enough to play?
They trotted him out there until they were down 2-1 to Cleveland.
Yeah.
And then once they got to the next series, they brought him back. So
immediately, yeah.
Listen, I would be surprised if they play LeMahieu after. Like Rizzo's coming back. I think Rizzo's just gonna take the job. Yay. And then who's the other one? Oh yeah, Verdugo's not gonna see no playoff tick either. But the Verdugo thing is just like what has he ever done to get this kind of long leash? Besides be friends with Aaron fucking Judge. What has he ever done to get this long a leash? I guess I answered my own question. But
yeah, I mean
I don't understand it.
Obviously, Jazz has been electric, and I saw he came back and homered. He's been great for you guys.
Yes, he has.
Outside of Jazz, like you've got 3 players, and Jazz is obviously a 20-game sample for you. You have 3 players with OPSs over 1,000, and then no 900s, no 800s, and then a couple 700s. And even those are from people who have been quote unquote part-time players, and that's Stanton, who missed time with an injury, and Austin Wells, who apparently hasn't done enough to be good enough to be the number 1 catcher.
Well, he technically is the number 1 catcher. Problem with Austin Wells, and in a vacuum, them sitting Austin Wells against lefties makes perfect sense. His numbers against lefties stink. I get why they're doing it. They're trying. When the Yankees choose to be serious as opposed to unserious is the annoying part. That's a serious move you make when you're trying to win a division and get a number 1 seed. Like you platoon Austin Wells' development takes a back seat to that. That makes perfect fucking sense. I'm not here to argue that. Now, flip side, you tell me you can't play Austin Wells against lefties because he can't hit them. I'm with you. Why the fuck is Verdugo playing every day then? He can't lefties either. That's all I'm at. And this is not even an anti-Verdugo. Well, in this specific conversation, part of the conversation, this is not even anti-Verdugo. It just his stats say what they say. He can't hit lefties. So we have to platoon Austin Wells. Verdugo has to run out there every day. He can't hit lefties. LeMahieu got to run out there every day. He can't hit anybody. So what are we really talking about right now?
Right. I also hate that. I understand your point about we can't try and develop this during the race we're in. That part does track. But too often today with lefty hitters for every team, it's not a Yankee thing, not a Red Sox team, it's every team.
Yep.
They never get to see lefties. So it's like, yeah, how would they ever develop against it's just righties see righties their whole lives. And I played in a celebrity game last week. Everyone throws left-handed now. There are no more right-handed pitchers as far as I'm concerned. There was all high school seniors and college players, D1 college players at that. They all fucking throw lefty now. So I don't want to hear about lefties don't get to see lefties anymore. They're out there. So, but Willie Abreu hit that home run in Texas off a lefty. It was the first of his career. Since then, he's had multiple opportunities against other lefties get taken away from him in favor of right-handed batters. And I understand what the numbers say, but the numbers, this is what I love about baseball. Like you hit 300, you're going to the Hall of Fame. Like that's just how it is. 300's 3 out of every 10. Like it's not 10 out of every 10. It's not Steph Curry from the free throw line. You know what I mean? It's not this guarantee. And by the way, these lefty pitchers are used to facing righty batters. Now they're less used to facing lefties at this point because they only get brought in and then teams make moves. So it's like at a certain point, what is the advantage?
Listen, and the thing is I don't even agree with it, not because I don't agree with the part of them sitting him against lefties. Again, in a vacuum, that makes sense. Given that Austin Wells has a really good batter's eye, batting, hitting eye, whatever you want to call it. And Trevino, the difference between him and Trevino against lefties isn't that great. Like Trevino's better, but it's marginally. So like I don't think it's worth the trade-off to me. But at the same time, like we have an unrealistic sense, and by we I mean Yankee fans. I've seen the conversation every single time Oswalt gets benched. We have an unrealistic expectation of how many times catcher is supposed to fucking play anyway. Like how many games do you think he's gonna fucking play? He's gonna play like in a let's say he stays healthy an entire season. He's gonna play like what 130?
Right.
If that, so like he's going to see the bench quite a few times. Do you want to see him to see the bench against every single left-handed pitcher ever to exist? No, none of us fucking do. But there's clear reasoning for it. Once you have clear reasoning to do something, I'm not gonna sit here and argue over it back and forth. No. Like, I understand why you do it. It's the other shit combined with this that it's like, okay, but your logic is sound here and it's consistent here, but it's not here, and it's not here, and it's not here. It's just like with Gleyber. Right. Like, oh, we're going to bench Gleyber for not running hard to first. Brother, Verdugo runs like me to first every game, and he doesn't get benched. So, like, I'm just asking you to make sense and make sense consistently. And the Yankees just were like, no, we won't. Thanks.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a problem with most teams, most humans, is they pick and choose. And it's why I had that tweet earlier, which is making its rounds on Patriots Twitter, where it was just like, if you think the Patriots ruined Mac Jones because of bad offensive line play and inconsistent weapons, why are we starting Drake May week 1? And people don't have an answer for that. Like, they move the goalposts immediately. It's like, oh, well, it was Belichick's fault. It was because Mac Jones was always bad. It's like, that's not what I brought up. That's not the argument. Let's stay on topic here. But when the other thing you said about the sunken cost fallacy, the Yankees should not be sweating $30 million for DJ LeMahieu. Like, you just can't. Like, that's not enough money.
I wish they lived by that. But
no, I get it.
But also, like, yeah, they shouldn't be, number one. And number two, it's not just the money. They love him in the clubhouse.
For sure. And I do think you underrate that. I think you underrate that a little bit.
No. Amend that statement. I underrate it a lot because I don't care. I'm not there. I'm not there. I'm watching from afar, bro. How much you like DJ LeMahieu, I get it. Like, you don't want to see guys you like get done dirty, or you perceive it.
Not even dirty.
That's how you perceive it. Whatever. Like, if he gets released tomorrow, they're not going to give a fuck that his OPS starts with 2. They're not going to care like I would. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're his friend. They're on the road all the time. Blah blah. They're around them more than they're around their fucking families. So I get it. I understand that. And do I underrate that? Yeah, 1,000%. I fully admit that shit. I don't care about it because I'm not there. And when DJ LeMahieu is grinding into double plays every single game, I'm sorry. I don't give a fuck that him and Aaron Judge are homies and go to Rangers games. That's not my problem. It's not.
7 extra base hits across 225 plate appearances. 7.
As a matter of fact, I'm gonna pull it. You know what? There's one I quoted earlier. But I'm gonna pull it up and just read it. It's just his ranking league wide amongst. Like,
I'm sure they're all 323rd out of 323.
Oh, baby, yes, there are. There are 303 players with at least 225 plate appearances this season. Among them, DJ LeMahieu ranks 302nd in hits, 267th in RBI, 292nd in home runs, 284th in average, 281st in OBP, 301st in slug, 300th in OPS. 299th in ISO, 301st in WRC, 298th in WOBA, 296th in WRC plus, and 299th in ground ball percentage. I'd like to see the fucking guys who rank worse than him in ground ball percentage, but yes, it's just and they have to go out there and have to play him every single day, and it's like, hey man, Ben Rice has been bad, no debates. He can't be worse than this. Right? Like, he can't be. I refuse to believe it. And they just run out DJ every single fucking day because, well, that's Aaron Judge's man's, or the money, or column A and column B, whatever you want to put it. And it's very irritating. Like, are you guys trying to win a division or not? Because he's hurting you. He has a -2 WAR. Do you understand how fucking hard that is to accomplish? -2. He's at -2, bro.
Listen, Baseball Reference has it at -1.5. So he must have had a good game last night.
I mean, that was Fangraphs work, but yes. Fangraphs baseball. Either way, he in the minuses, bro. We're in August. He done played, I don't know how many games he's played, like 70, 75.
66.
66. And he's at a -2, -1.5, whatever. He in the negatives. WAR. He's actively hurting you every time he goes out. And it's not like it's one of those he's hurting you, but it's quietly or you can't really see it. It's blatantly apparent. We can all see it. And yet here we are.
What's been tipping me off to how on edge Yankee fans are is people bring up Bobby Witt. People bring up Shohei Ohtani. And you people lose your fucking minds as if there's only one player who can be really, really good. I don't know. Aaron Judge is having a tremendous season. He is the AL MVP. I preface all that with that. I don't think Witt, as good of a season as he's had, I don't think he's the MVP. I think it's pretty clearly Judge.
Mm-hmm.
He's not head and shoulders above the rest of the league. Like, there are other people on his level. This is not a Barry Bonds situation where it was like, oh, it's Bonds in the field. It just isn't. And Yankee fans will not let you say that without losing their fucking minds.
I think as long as Shohei Ohtani does not pitch, I think Aaron Judge is clearly the best player in baseball. How you want to parse that as far as what tier this guy is in or how close it is, I leave that to other people. All I know is ain't nobody better than that dude right now. That's all I got. I'm not really going to sit here and waste my time arguing with people who want to praise other good players. I think that's stupid anyway. Like, Shohei Ohtani is fucking ludicrous at baseball. Bobby Witt is having a season that might be one of the best shortstop seasons ever. Like, when it's all said and done. So, like, I don't necessarily think if you strip away any opinion about narratives, because God knows we could do a 5-hour show of me bitching about prior baseball MVP votes. I have a lot of opinions on that. We could do a 5-hour show of me bitching. So, like, stripping away anything about voters and narratives, this, that, and the third. I don't think Bobby Witt's that far off of Aaron Judge. I don't. Like, I think Judge is the MVP. I think he's been better. I don't think the gap is as wide as people like to make it out to be. By people, I mean Yankee fans. Let's call it a spade.
Correct.
It's them most, right? Fans. Okay. Now, with that being said, baseball MVP voters have told me my entire life that offense is more important than defense. We all agree there too. It's not like there's disagreement. We all agree. If you're going to tell me that, and the same people who are going to tell me that are now going to tell me, well, Bobby Witt's more valuable, I'm going to need you to check your math and then get back to me, because that doesn't make any sense. If you're going to tell me offense is more important than defense, the guy who's been like 45% better WRC plus wise than Bobby Witt, but is less valuable, that math doesn't add up. It don't.
No, I mean, I've always appreciated defense across all three sports I talk about. No, for sure. I know you're not talking about me.
Right.
But the best argument for Bobby Witt is that the Royals lost 100 games last year. Like, that's his best argument by far. I don't know that it's necessarily silly, but it's obvious. Like, if Seth Lugo didn't have a crazy outlier season, like, what do the Royals look like? You know what I mean? There's like 5 different crazy outlier things that have happened for the Royals. Which, by the way, that's baseball.
Around him.
Yeah, it's not a knock on the Royals. That's baseball. Like, you need a lot of shit to break your way over the course of 162. Witt, unto himself, is having an insane breakout year. He's going to win Silver Slugger for shortstop, which isn't an easy task because Gunner's there. Seager's obviously not been the Seager of last year, but he's still been really fucking good. To me, what you just said about Ohtani, if he's not going to pitch, and I said this the other day, and I had a lot of pushback against it. It's not that he's not pitching. It's that he's actively rehabbing and doing this. That's where I still have him number one. You want to point to Judge's, all of his stats this year as being better. That means nothing to me. Absolutely nothing. The fact that it's close, and it is close, the fact that it's close
how are we defining close?
What do you mean?
I'm asking you a question.
9 home run difference. One guy has a torn UCL. Yeah, that's fucking close. That's how I'm defining it.
Okay. So we're grading him on a curve.
It's not a curve. It's 42 is not that far off from 51. And just talking numbers, that's not far off.
And what's his OPS plus, man?
His OPS is 999 to 1198, so 200.
That's not close. That's not close.
For sure is. Like, they're both over. They're both at 1,000.
That's not close though.
All right,
if we both
do stolen bases. Let's do stolen bases if we're going to cherry pick.
If we both score more than 50 points and I scored 94 and you score 60, we're not close.
That for sure is close. I immediately push back on that. But also,
it's not. I scored 34 points and you know it's not.
42 stolen bases to what? 7? If we're going to do this, that's what I would call not close.
Listen, man,
that's what I would say is not close.
Shohei got a 176 OPS plus, which is fucking amazing. It's great.
Right, with a torn UCL.
It's great. And Aaron Judge's OPS plus is 229.
225 or 229, excuse me.
229. Yeah. So he's been 53% better. It's not close. Respectfully, it's not. It's not close.
I mean, it's for sure close.
Like the distance between Judge and Ohtani with regard to the catch-all stats, OPS plus, WRC plus, is basically the same as the distance between Ohtani and like Jordan Westberg. It's not close. No disrespect. It's not close. As hitters, it's not close.
For sure.
You want to bring base running into the equation? Fine.
Why would you not? It's offensive.
Different discussion. Well, when one guy's 50% better than the next, I care a little bit less about the base run. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Okay,
I care a little bit less.
But to act like they're not close is insane. Again, when one guy is, we've seen other MVPs try and battle through what Ohtani has done.
Yeah,
and they don't hit 10 home runs, let alone 42.
I just want you to admit that you're grading him on a curve. Because you are.
I'm not.
Grading him on a curve. You keep telling me it's more impressive because his arm
I didn't. No. I've never used the phrase more impressive. I said they were close.
Sorry.
I'm not.
But you are.
We've seen him not, because you were the one who first brought up he's not pitching, as if he made the decision. You actively omitted that it was because he's dealing with a major injury that's sidelining multiple other players right now.
I didn't actively.
Yes, you did.
Anything.
Yes, you do. 1,000%.
I said he's not pitching. That's a fact. I didn't.
Why
anything? Oh yeah.
Why isn't he pitching?
He's rehabbing. What he's doing
is actively hurt.
Impressive.
He's currently hurt.
What he's doing is impressive. I'm not arguing that. It's insanely impressive. I didn't bring it up to diminish him at all. All I said was the minute Shohei Ohtani starts throwing pitches again, he's the best player in baseball, to me at least. That's all. That's the only thing I was bringing it up for. Like the minute he starts throwing pitches, he's the best player in baseball again.
Like I'm at the point where I don't think he's lost the mantle just because he's hurt. If he was up here with 25 home runs at this stage of the season, I'd be like, that's impressive for the injury, but he's obviously not currently the best player in baseball. The fact that he's over 40-40, which people can debate whether or not they care about 40-40. I do. I think it's cool as shit. I think having a 10-10 month is cool as shit. That's only happened like 6 or 7 times, or whatever it was. To sit here and act like a 7 WAR, like he's going to have the highest WAR ever for a DH. And that's, again, because he can't throw. He has to slide feet first so he doesn't re-hurt that injury, and he still has 42 stolen bases. To act like it hasn't been close is outrageous to me.
I mean, but the numbers tell you it hasn't been. Respectfully.
I mean, again, your interpretation of the numbers and mine just appear to be different. I don't know that they
which is fine. And if somebody if somebody says Shohei Ohtani is better than Aaron Judge, look, put it like this: anything involving Shohei and Aaron Judge, I've stopped arguing about for like 3 years now. I don't really.
You
care.
Just did it.
You're doing a show. Yes, I did it. Yes, I disagree with you. We're doing a show. It'd be boring if I just said I'm not going to talk about that. That would be fucking boring. So yes, outside of this, I don't talk about it much because it. Why are we hell bent in general? This is not just about these two in general. Why are we hell bent on pitting bad bitches against each other? We don't have to do it.
It's you. It's your fan base. It's only your fan base that's doing it. Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Someone will tweet out Shohei Ohtani is having one of the most amazing seasons I've ever seen, and they'll be like, Judge is better every time. Every time.
I don't dispute that.
But that's the point you just made. Is that other people are doing?
I'm saying it ain't only them. I didn't say that. No, it's not. There's too many Royal fans talking shit for. And yes, I know.
I'm not talking about the Royal fans. They're all insane people, and it's the first time they've ever had anything to cheer about. Like I don't have anything to say about.
And like people. You have a whole. And Ohtani has a large stand base. They bring the shit up
as well. He should.
But right, and that's what I'm saying. Like they are just as guilty. I know Yankee fans do it. They're just as Ohtani fans are just as guilty. You just don't see him much.
But I see Yankee fans. I don't see them tweet out a Judge highlights and immediately someone says something about Ohtani. Anything gets said about Ohtani, it's immediate like, oh, Judge is better.
I see that all the time. So maybe I'm looking at different shit than you are, which is fine. But I see it
probably.
And I mean, the Yankee fans are louder. I mean, there's way more of us, to be fair, here. But we are certainly louder. Make no mistake. But there's a lot of mudslinging going on from all angles, from a lot of different kind of people. With that said, Aaron Judge's numbers speak for themselves. I don't know why people feel so insecure that they have to dunk on Ohtani every single time Judge's name comes up. And vice versa also applies. Ohtani's doing shit that's never been done before. Period.
Right.
So we don't really need to compare them. With that said, Judge is better than him, respectfully. And I don't think it's particularly close this season.
That's all I'm saying.
It's not.
It is.
It's not.
If you tore Judge's UCL, he wouldn't play.
I gave you
he
the
would
facts.
Not play.
I gave
he
you
wouldn't
the
play.
Facts. I gave you the
he wouldn't
facts.
play.
What you choose to do with them is what you choose to do.
Would he play if he tore his UCL? No, he wouldn't.
We will never. I guess we'll never know. I guess we'll never.
Of course
know.
he wouldn't.
I guess we'll never know.
He's had like rolled ankles. He sits for a month and a half. Of course he wouldn't.
A month and a half, or then a little bit much.
How much time did he miss last year?
I mean, he had a fucked up toe. What do you mean?
Oh, so it was a lesser injury. Thank you. He missed 50 games last year, 56 games last year.
Yes, he missed up with a chronic condition. With a chronic condition,
which I believe you said he still had this year. So it wasn't an injury, or was it wasn't an injury.
It was an injury. Now he has to.
You just said he quit last year.
I didn't say shit. Stop it. I didn't.
Then what happened? Why did he give up last year?
Heal the injury.
It doesn't. If he's still currently quote unquote injured, it didn't heal.
He's not injured now.
Okay, Ohtani is.
He has to deal with it though.
Like I tweet out Ohtani's injured. You have Yankee fans being like, he's actually never been injured in his life. That's what I see. That's the internet I'm on.
I feel bad for you. I don't see those things.
Yeah, I mean,
I see Yankee fans talking shit. I don't see them talking shit about who's injured, who's not. I see them just saying like, "Oh, well, if Judge did this and you wouldn't be," blah, blah, and all that. And
no one covers Aaron Judge. It's true.
It's my least favorite form of tweet. Like, if Aaron Judge did this, you guys wouldn't be. And it's like, all right. I will say this though. I will say this, and I said this on the last show. The only form of that I will actually agree with, and never really say out loud because I don't care to, is. It is interesting that the AL MVP debate rages on every 4 minutes, and the NL MVP debate, which should be a thing, nobody says anything. I find that to be fascinating to me. And I think there's
Ellie.
Fucking Lindor's right there. Lindor, Ellie, Shohei. Like, I think any of those three have a legitimate argument. I would give it to Shohei for a lot of reasons. Like, I'm not saying he's not the MVP, but does Francisco Lindor not have every good a case as Bobby Witt does?
I mean, based off what you said about Ohtani and Judge not being close, these guys aren't close to Ohtani. Like, not even.
I mean, the defensive value overrides.
We already said that doesn't count.
Of course it counts. What do you mean it counts? Of course
you just said it does.
when the WAR difference is negligible, yes, it counts. Yes, it counts.
I mean, I'm using baseball references where
Shohei is amazing. Like,
yeah, I mean, he clears them both by at least a win,
right?
Like 2 for Ellie, and that's baseball references WAR, which is why I don't use WAR because
okay. What is the WAR update at this point?
6.7 to 5.8 to 4.5.
Okay, never mind. It's not a debate anymore. Never mind. No. I haven't looked at it in like 10 days. Never mind.
No, I mean, I don't know what. I'm sure Fangraphs has Lindor. I think Lindor second in the league.
Yeah, Lindor.
Yeah, I think he's like second in the league on Fangraphs, but it's exactly why I don't use that fucking stat. Because why are there 2 of them? If I went to multiple websites and they had RBI listed as 87 on one and 96 on the other, we wouldn't use RBI anymore because we'd be like, that doesn't. Obviously, we don't know what's going on. We have to figure out runs batted in. Why are there different numbers? It's insane that multiple leading websites have different calculations for one stat. It's like when fucking Westbrook broke. What was it, the LeBron stat or the Raptors stat? And they were like, we have to change this because obviously we don't think Westbrook's that nice. It's like, well, then that's not a real stat. If you're changing it because you don't like that this guy's is really high, that's not a real stat.
Hey, I'm a big advanced stat guy in baseball for a lot of reasons. Brother, I still have no fucking idea what Raptor means. I have no fucking idea what LeBron means. I know that they measure on-court value. Like, obviously, duh.
Right.
But brother, I have no interest in learning it either. And I don't really know why, because I'm not anti that. It's just like, y'all made a stat called LeBron? Like, what are we doing here? Like,
I think that's fair. I don't think that's a terrible legacy. I don't think it like if
no,
you're
no,
gonna
no.
pick
Listen,
a player.
I love that they did that because it matters, and like he's been, the face of basketball for 20 fucking years. I understand why they did it. I just can't wrap my brain around caring about it. Like, that's the thing.
Sure.
Like, I understand why they did it. I just can't wrap my brain around caring. They made a stat called LeBron. Like, or Raptor. Even worse, Raptor. Quite frankly, like, LeBron's cool. Raptor, I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to be.
Yeah, Raptor's tough.
I don't know why they made it Raptor. Why not Grizzly? Why not Nugget? Why not Celtic? Like, what? Why fucking Raptor?
I think it stands for something. I don't remember because I don't care. Like I don't watch basketball.
Hey man, true. And if your shit stands for something in the 6 letters, get a fucking grip, or shorten the shit. One of the two. Time for shit that gotta be shortened to 6 fucking letters, bro. We don't got time for that.
Well, it's like I don't watch basketball to like I don't use advanced stats in basketball. It's a waste of fucking time. That's not why basketball is invented. There's 5 people on the court. You don't need advanced stats to know who's good.
James Naismith had in mind.
No, it's like I don't need numbers. Like I don't need any numbers to know that Michael Jordan is cold as fuck. Like I don't need a single number to know that. Not a one. Sure. Baseball, I understand. You need like we grew up with baseball cards, and are there?
And it's an individualized sport in a way that basketball is not.
Correct.
So like it's different.
Have we progressed past the need for the stuff that came up on traditional baseball cards? Absolutely. A lot of the stats you brought up for Judge, like WOBA, and
that's
fucking OPS plus, and weighted runs created plus, all that. Those make all the sense in the world to me, and I have no problem with them. WAR, I'll never accept, ever. It's we don't have, especially like when Fangraphs is like, oh, we're calculating defense. They're the same people who are telling me Cedon Rafaela is a bad defender, which is like, I throw out the whole system, just delete it. Like you don't know what you're talking about if that's the conclusion you've come to. It's bad. It's bad math. So it's like I'll never rate WAR. I'll never be okay with people using it as like a legitimate argument. It isn't. It's a lack of ball knowledge is what WAR is.
I ain't gonna go that far, but the argument that there's like 3 different forms of WAR, how am I supposed to sit there and refute that? I can't refute it. Like it matters.
Bad math.
Like,
bad math.
And like you obviously like you have to know like what goes into both, because obviously so like one WAR prefers X per se. Like let's say it's OAA instead of UZR or whatever it is. Like one WAR prefers that, the other WAR prefers this. You kind of got to know all of that, and then you're just citing it without knowing that it's a lot. And I get why people wouldn't necessarily care. I get it. I can't really argue. There's 2 different types of the same stat, and different shit goes into both of them. Like, I would get why you wouldn't care. I understand.
Right. Like I'm looking at one right now that has Lindor a full point behind Ohtani, and then if I look at the other one, he's neck and neck with Judge. So that's where it's just like, all right, what are we talking about
here? Let's. He's not neck and neck with Judge.
Lindor's is crazy high on.
No, I know that. I know that part. Yes, I know that part. But he ain't neck and neck with Judge.
Because Judge's B WAR is 9.8. I don't know, probably like 11 on fucking Fangraphs.
Nah, his F WAR is. Let's take a look. It's 9.8
on both.
Yes.
All right, so his defense is shit this year, is what I'm hearing.
Lindor. Like, it was funny that that's not even an untrue observation, but that's neither here.
No, listen, Fangraphs is the one that more heavily weighs defense, and it's the same as baseball references. It tells me he's added nothing defensively.
Lindor is 6'6".
Okay, so it's about a full point higher. Obviously not neck and neck, but it's neck and neck with Ohtani.
Yeah, Ohtani 6'4". Yep.
Okay, so it's a little less, which I don't understand that if he's played literally 0 defense. I don't know why it would go down.
Listen, there's several things about WAR, like when you talk about comparing players and player X doing this, player that, don't even make sense to me. I think mostly the stats make sense if you know how to apply them and value this, that, and the third. I think most of them make sense. Just don't ask me shit about pitcher WAR. I can't tell you the first about that. I don't know shit about pitcher WAR. I know a little bit something about FIP, XFIP, XCRA.
Sure, those all make plenty of sense.
Sure. You ask me about WAR for a pitcher, brother, I got nothing for you. Respect.
It was my biggest complaint during Ohtani versus Judge. It was that 2 years ago when it was like Judge's WAR is higher. It's like, how are we like? Why are we whittling it down to that? We have one guy, Judge is setting this make-believe AL home run record. Cool. We have this guy over here who's pitching as a top 5 pitcher and hitting as a top 5 hitter. If we want to boil that down to one stat, which we agree upon, isn't properly calculating both of these. Like, if you want to vote for Judge, I don't have a problem with that. He's had an incredible season. This is 2 years ago. I don't have a problem with that. If you want to boil it down to this one stat that we agree on isn't calculating everything, that's fucking stupid process. It's bad process.
By fake record, what do you mean by that?
It's like just not a real record. Like, it's not a thing. Like, again, when Justin Jefferson sets the NFC receiving record, when Kirk Cousins sets the NFC South passing record, like, that's what I mean by fake record.
I mean, nah, but jokes aside,
Zion Williamson has the most dunks in Southeast history. Like,
it's really shameless that they're pushing that. It's really whack too. Like, and I like Aaron Judge, plays for my favorite team. Him doing the stuff is really cool. He's outrageous baseball player. I really don't need to hear that he's about to break his own AL record when we know they have to fucking do it well why. Oh, I know because they made their bed, but like we know good and well why this started. We know why, and the thing is, like, we don't know. You know, I'm not even gonna say it. I'm not gonna get a suit, but we know why, because the other guys are not clean, allegedly. Well, not allegedly. We know they're not clean. Those guys are not.
They never failed tests.
We know they're not clean. I know they didn't test, but we know they're not clean. We know
my point. My problem with that, and we do have enough evidence to support this, and I'm pro all of it. So I don't care about any of it, including what's going on today. Because to act like today's game is clean is equally outrageous.
It's naive.
But when Bonds was hitting 73, what the arguments become is he's the only one who was on anything, which couldn't be further from the truth. Like, the pitchers were on it. And pretty much, conservatively, 85% of the league was juicing back then. And that might be a low estimation. Like, I know it wasn't 100 because you had Pedro out there, all 110 pounds of him. I don't like if he was on it, he would have been throwing 150 miles an hour.
I mean, to be fair, we don't know if he could have been on it.
He could have. It's just there were certain body types we saw.
Like, oh yeah, for sure. Like but like once D. Gordon and Bartolo Colon got popped, I stopped looking at body types again. This guy did this. I don't know. But with that being said, like, everybody was on not equal, but mostly equal.
It was pretty equal playing.
Everybody was fucking cheating. So everybody was fucking cheating. So why do I care if everybody else is doing it?
When everyone's cheating, no one's cheating. Like, if everyone's cheating the exact same way, no one's
and
actually
there's cheaters
cheating.
in the Hall of Fame. So
more than enough. But that's not even the point. I'm just more talking about,
like, that's furthering the point. I know it's not the point.
If Bonds' 73 eked out like Jason Bay's 72, yeah, I'd have a little bit bigger of a problem with like the record. You know what I mean? If it was neck and neck like that.
Yes.
Well, I'm just trying to think of someone who clearly was never close. So like Scott Brocious was putting up 68. You'd be like, all right, yeah, maybe this record doesn't count. That wasn't the case. We had the one summer of the home run chase with Griffey, Sosa, and McGuire. And then Bonds did it, 5 years later, 4 or 5 years later? That was it. There was nothing else. Like, Sosa would hit 60 every other year and never lead the league in home runs for some unknown reason. McGuire had his 70 and called it a break after that. Like, to act like it was a sustainable thing over years is insane as well. But Bonds was doing it against everyone else who was also doing it. What they've done with juiced balls now, and what has been alleged juiced balls for one specific team, I don't know that you can call this cleaner. I'm not saying I'm not saying I have a problem with it either, but I don't know that cleaner is the argument.
Get that tinfoil one team bullshit out of here. Get it out of here.
I'm just listening to the pitchers that continue to talk about it, and no one else listens to.
They haters. Knock it off. Knock it off. Get that tinfoil bullshit.
When I watch Pete Fairbanks, like, just keep throwing balls away. Like, I'm not throwing these fucking things. You kidding me?
Hey man, get this shit out of here. Pete Fairbanks sound like a hater. He just mad because he can't do it. Whatever other bullshit cliche lines we can come up with for haters, knock that shit off. No, but jokes aside, like, I mean, I can't even. I'm obviously doing that in bad faith. I can't even sit here and argue that. Not even because of anything Pete Fairbanks or anything else, anybody else said. Baseball has shown you they will juice or unjuice baseball at the drop of a fucking hat, and not tell anybody until like you have the experts like, oh wow, there's this amount of drag on the baseball, and baseballs are traveling 26.4 feet less than they were traveling a month ago, and then you're like, oh, did they do something with the baseballs? And then that's how you find out. So I can't even if baseball was juicing if MLB was juicing baseballs for Aaron Judge, guess who wouldn't be surprised? Me? Because why would I be surprised? Baseball has proven to be shady over and over and over again.
And it's annoying, like Judge without juice balls still hits 50 home runs. You know what I mean? Like they still get all the excitement of him being an insane power hitter. But it is peculiar, like there isn't anyone else doing that. Like it's just and was it 2 years ago? It was either I think it was 2 years ago. The day the playoffs started, balls were just dying, like 30 feet shy.
It was 2 years ago, yes.
And they were like, these were all home runs days ago, not 2 months ago when it was like 98 degrees. Like days ago, we saw this exact, like, because they got like all the TrackMan stuff up on the scoreboard. They were like, days ago, that exact
October 1st,
formula.
This shit is a home run. October 4th, it's not. All of a sudden, what changed?
This was going 50 rows back 3 days ago. East 7 with a circle around it today. Hard to say what changed.
Like you had outfielders giving the courtesy turnaround and give 2 steps, and the balls are just flying the fuck out. And then the next week it's like, oh yeah, we're catching this before the warning track. It's like, well, what changed, guys? What changed?
It's noticeable, and it's like when Judge hits one 512 to center field at Fenway, it's like, yeah, if that ball was or was not juiced, it was going a long way. I don't know that he needs the help. I don't know.
I don't think he needs help either. But if it's for real that they are juicing the baseball for the Yankees, boy, that leads to a whole lot of questions about them other dudes. Golly, right? Leads a whole lot of questions about the other dudes, because if he gets the juice balls, that means y'all do too, allegedly. So what's going on?
Maybe. I mean, they do get new balls like frequently throughout the game. They could do it just for one guy. Whether or not they are is more of a conspiracy. But
of course.
It would be funny if like I would go more to Bonds' point. Like if DJ LeMahieu was getting the same juice balls, rolling them over to second base, that goes to both. That makes Judge look better. You know what I mean? The same way.
Baseball science, yeah, for real.
That's what I mean. Like it doesn't take away from how good Judge is. I never bring that up to be like, oh, he's bad. October does that for me. But with the Judge argument, you know how many guys were in single A, juice to the gills, hitting $112? Like it wasn't a magic elixir.
Barry Bonds had a Hall of Fame career before he came to camp with the size 12 fitted on. So I really, really just do not care that he used steroids. But in that era, so did a lot of other people. Like it was widespread. It was rampant, which also, and to drag the Hall of Fame into this again, like, first of all, obviously, as I said, they're cheaters in the Hall of Fame. They're admitted cheaters. Like Mike Piazza admitted the shit. Like admitted cheaters in the fucking Hall of Fame. Above all that, they put Bud Selig in the Hall of Fame, but I still don't understand why. Why? For what? You don't want to put cheaters in the Hall of Fame, but you want to put somebody who's in the Hall of Fame because he benefited off cheaters? Where does that make sense?
Doesn't. It's a bad system. And but this is Bonds' last year on the ballot. I don't have any faith he's going to get in.
He's not. Maybe the Veterans Committee puts him on. Maybe. Wouldn't hold my breath.
He might not be alive by then. Is my problem.
Yikes. He is in his 60s now? Probably.
He's not young.
I know he's not young. He's probably in the 60s.
He is. Yes, he just turned 60 last month.
Okay. Yeah, he's not getting no time soon. I can say that for good for sure. He's not getting no
Shout out the Pirates for finally retiring his number. That was peculiar. It hadn't already happened.
Very peculiar.
He won 2 MVPs with the Pittsburgh Pirates and came in second in between those 2 years.
Ludicrous player.
Yeah.
Insane player. Because he ended up winning, 7 MVPs or 5? I think it was 5, right?
7, because he won 4 straight from 01 through 04.
I bet. I bet. Like my man had like a 250 OPS plus combined for 4 years. Insane.
Yeah, it's yes, the 256 from 01 to 04.
You just look at Barry Bonds' baseball reference page, and I don't know about anybody else. I just laugh for like a good 10 minutes just looking at it because it's ludicrous. It's all over the place.
It's a lot of bold,
Lots.
a whole lot of bold.
A lot of shit that doesn't make sense.
No, and a lot of it, like 93, his first year with the Giants, he led the league in home run, RBI, OPS plus, total bases, on base, slugging. That was 93. That was his third MVP. I find it hard to believe that stick was hitting 46 home runs in 1993 in San Francisco was like hitting 94 at Fenway Park today. Like it's
no joke. Like that wind used to whip in every night, basically. So,
yeah, the story of how they built that field when they moved from New York to San Francisco, they went to look at the property exactly once, and it was during the day, and they said perfect. And then they played the first game there, and Willie Mays was like, "This is a stupid fucking way to build a stadium. Like, why did we do this? Why?" And it was because when they surveyed it, it wasn't windy because it was the middle of the fucking day. And then they played one night game. They were like, "This was a huge mistake. We should not have done that."
Yeah, you probably should have. Like, baseball is often played at night. You probably should have came back at night. But I guess they didn't expect it to be 50-mile-an-hour winds every night. So I guess
they didn't see that switch up coming. But yeah, that's where we're at now. The Red Sox continue to need other teams to win just so they or lose technically, just so they can still be in it. I think they're 2.5, 3.5.
I want to say I read it was 3.
It might be 3. Today they play when the other teams don't. That's where I'm getting the half from.
Yeah.
They are 3 back of the Twins, 5.5 back of the Royals, 7.5 back of the Orioles.
Yep.
And I don't have much faith. Like if you just need somebody. You have a 3-game set with the Twins coming up in a couple weeks. I don't love that you need to sweep that just to be tied with them. You know what I mean? That's not very inspiring. Their pitching staff, even with Joe Ryan down, is just better than yours. Now they're liable to have their whole offense get hurt in a given day. That is something the Twins will do.
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know. Like they're 2-8 over their last 10. You're 4-6. So picking up games by going 4-6 also isn't a great recipe to.
Oh, it's not.
And by the way, the fucking Tigers, relax, dude. Calm it down, Detroit Tigers. They're a game and a half behind us. We play the Tigers this weekend. If Tariq Skubal, maybe he wants to pitch all 3 games. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that fucking team. But Kerry Carpenter's back. You talk about the most underrated hitter in baseball, Kerry fucking Carpenter.
I love Kerry Carpenter, man.
He came into Fenway last year. I think he homered in every fucking game he played. I think
he should do a repeat effort this weekend.
He may.
Right? Yeah.
You very well may.
I think he should do a repeat
for that.
Go Kerry.
Don't care for that one bit. But yeah, if they're a game and a half back, like by Monday, they could easily be ahead of you in this if you don't get your fucking shit together. Can't have Bello pitch every night. He can't save you every night.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Bello. How's he been doing? I know he had a good start. Was it last night or?
Yeah, 8 innings.
Yeah,
8 innings, 2 hits. Both of them were weak. 1 walk, which was the most dotted strike 3 of all time. Even the batter was confused. I want to get his numbers for.
I gotta say, as much as they gave me PTSD, the whole blue long sleeves look, I bang with it. But like he gave me PTSD, but I respect it.
Yeah, he knew what he was doing. I mean, he
sure did. I respect it.
His last start against Arizona went poorly, largely after he came out of the game. He left with runners on, and Joely Rodriguez made sure they all scored. But before that, it's 1 earned run, 3 earned runs, which all happened as he was coming out of the game in Kansas City, which they still won. So he's been, ever since he reintroduced the fastball, which is all I asked for, he's been the best version of himself. And this is against Baltimore. It's against Texas. It's against Toronto, who stinks, but their offense usually does well at Fenway. And Bassett was shoving last night. So it was 1-0 when he left the game in the 8th. Like he went 8 full. Tyler O'Neill homered in the bottom of the 8th to make it 3-0. But he had a 1-run game all 8 innings and never for a second had more than one guy on base. And that only happened in 3 of the 8 innings. So and as much of a must win as they had, Brayan Bello more than rose to the occasion. There's no one on the team I would rather have on the mound in a must-win game than Brayan Bello.
I don't like this whole newfound confidence that he seems to be displaying. I don't like it. I would hope I'd respect it more if he went back to what he was doing previously. He was getting rocked every start, it felt like. So I would prefer he goes back to that.
Even when he's 12-6. So like even when he was giving up runs, the team was still winning. That's where it was just like this seems to be the best case scenario as he's learning to pitch without his fastball. He also throws 99, so I don't know why they ever eliminated the fastball. You know what I mean? It's not some soft throwing.
They might have gone a little bit too far with their plan. Like that might go better with guys who don't pump 99. Like that might work better with those guys instead.
Sure, and I get they're trying to teach him things and really lean on these secondary pitches. I'm not against that. He was throwing his fastball last year. I think it was like a 23% clip.
Right.
And guys were teeing off on it because he would throw it low in the zone and they would get hammered. All right, A, just change where he's throwing it. That's one thing that will help.
Right.
And B, just cut it in half. And that's kind of where it's been. It's been anywhere from like 5 to 12% usage rate in any start. And that's perfect. It makes the pitches with break actually look like they're breaking as opposed to all 3 of these look the same.
Yeah, man. So what do we think? What would you place the Red Sox odds of making the playoffs at this point? Do you have to give a percentage?
7. I'm not very high on it. I mean, I'm mad at Craig Breslow. They're at their playoff odds on Baseball Reference are 17.5%. So I'm not even that far off. It was a bad deadline. It was as bad of a deadline as you can talk about. That was on Breslow. And
you're not happy with Lucas Sims?
Sims was like the best of the additions, and even he's on the IL, and also was bad. So I wasn't happy with Lucas Sims. I wasn't happy with Luis Garcia. I gave it a C-, I think, like at real time, the day of the deadline. And people told me I was being too harsh. Now looking back on it, it would be a D-. Like it would be worse for sure with hindsight. It wouldn't be better. Now, and that's not even what they gave up. Like I truly didn't care about what they gave up outside of the Lucas Sims trade, and not because I was like this huge Ovis Portes believer, but it was like, yeah, listen, in an offseason where we know we're going to be making hopefully a lot of deals, that could have been a legitimate chip as the second or third guy in a bigger package, not one for Lucas Sims. So that was where I didn't love that, and now he's not even going to pitch. Looks like Liam Hendricks is almost up. It looks like Zach Penrod's coming with him. Hendricks obviously has a track record. Penrod was pitching for like the Long Island Rubber Ducks last year and something like that. One of those independent league teams. He's been electric this year. He probably would have been up earlier if he didn't take a line drive off the shin a couple months ago. So that slowed his development. But those two guys should actually be your best 2 bullpen guys for like 7th, 8th inning moving forward. But it kind of feels too late. You know what I mean? Like the trade acquisitions, Danny Jansen being confirmed as the right-handed bat is just despicable, like disgraceful. And again, I don't give a fuck what they traded for Danny Jansen. It's not about that. It's just like, yeah, that's not a good idea at all. Like you want to get rid of Reese McGuire. I don't disagree with that necessarily. You want him to be like the right-handed bat acquisition. Yeah, that's tough. That's a tough way to do business. So yeah, like and my point in real time remains, if Heim had that same deadline, people would have been furious. It feels like he got graded on a curve, which I don't know that he deserved. It's not like he got hired in February. He got hired last October. He had plenty of runway.
I think that last point is a good one because Heim would definitely be getting blasted for the same fucking deadline. So
Heim got blasted for not trading Chris Sale. You talk about Breslow trading Chris Sale this year, you get, what? Like, you get all these excuses. It's just like, he's going fucking NL Cy Young.
And they could use it. They should definitely use Chris Sale right now.
No doubt.
Like, I understood the process. Like, I'm not gonna bash them because they traded him. They felt like his time was up, which understood. And they weren't gonna re-sign him. We understand that too. And they traded him for a young, potentially promising middle infielder. I'm not gonna bash them for it too much. But yeah, like Heim did get blasted for not trading Chris Sale. And then, Breslow traded Chris Sale. He might be the fucking NL Cy Young favorite. I haven't looked at the odds. I'm assuming he is. He is. And like there's not gonna be any bashing him for that. Like
you can't even bring it up. You just can't even bring it up. People immediately will attack you if you bring it up. Sale was already signed for next year, and the Braves gave him another year when they got him. And trust me, I understand all sides of it. If he had been here, he probably gets hurt, this, that, and the third. All I can look at is what actually happened. You traded Chris Sale, signed Lucas Giolito. That was your big pitching change this offseason. Bad. Like, I can agree with the process all I want. I'm trying to hold, like you were talking about earlier, when it makes sense to criticize versus when people are talking out of both sides of their mouth. I was always fine with the process. I was fine with the process when Heim was doing it too. That's where I'm clean. Everyone else who was shitting on Heim should be shitting on Breslow, and it's not happening.
Yeah. All we ask for is consistency, man. Just be consistent. Like if you had a problem with that, you should have a problem with this. If you didn't, then you shouldn't. That's it.
And when it was the majority of fans who had a problem with it when it was Heim, I know it's not the majority of fans now who have a problem with it. Because I keep asking the questions and people keep not giving me direct answers.
Yeah, that's how it goes when they can't explain their position. They start giving you bullshit and they start giving you the runaround.
No. Like, I'm right and wrong plenty, but I'm consistent in how I arrive at where I get to. You're not going to be right 100% of the time. It's a fruitless endeavor to try and be.
Great.
But when I start talking, you talked about sunken cost fallacy earlier. When I start talking about signing Willy Adames this offseason as like my number 2 target behind whichever pitcher people want, I really don't give a fuck who. Whoever they want to sign, great, go get him. Adames needs to be high up there.
I love Willy.
For everyone who's like, well, where's Story going to play? Who gives a fuck? Like, why? Why would that ball? If you're going into next year with plans around Trevor Story, you've already punted on next year. You've completely punted.
Who gives a fuck? That was emphatic. I like that.
I can't stress it enough. Like, if that's your pushback, you don't have a good argument. Like, that's a bad.
It's a terrible. Like, it's a terrible.
Like, what do you mean? Like, you can like like we were saying about fucking DJ. You can like the guy as a human. I have nothing against the human. The Red Sox player, I have a fucking mountain of stuff against because he's done nothing here. Anything he did in Colorado means nothing to me. It shouldn't mean anything to anybody. All 4, like, he's been here 3 years. They've all been years where they've fallen apart in August and then are out of it by September. Now, they're not out of it yet. September's a few days away. They're not out of it yet, but it's not looking great either. It was 5.5 2 days ago when you lost both games in a doubleheader on Monday. Like, that's when it was bad because both the Royals and fucking Twins won that day. So it got to 5.5 or 5, I guess. It's 3 now because the Twins lost to Chris Sale. He finally did something for the Red Sox this year. They lost to Chris Sale last night. And so now it's 3. And if the Red Sox win today against Toronto, it'll be 2.5, which is striking distance for sure. Again, you lose to any games to the Tigers this weekend, you're closer to them than you are the fucking playoff. Yeah. So that's where it's just like, yeah, are we really in it? No. Story's been here all 3 years. Now, are their troubles his fault? Not entirely. No, I would never say that. A lot of it's still the front office, and above them is where a lot of the problems lie. But if you're trying to get better, that's a position of upgrade that needs an upgrade. And with Marcelo Meyer currently hurt again, he's not going to play AAA at all this year. The idea that he's going to be opening day shortstop or even in the conversation feels far-fetched. So if you want him to get a full run of AAA at bats next year, you're looking at June, July, Yeah, give me Willy Adames. You're still looking at second base as a position you don't know that you have filled. David Hamilton, I like. He looks more like a swing guy who can play both and pinch run and do all that. Vaughn Grissom's been hitting as of late in AAA. We don't know what he is right now. Maybe he's one of your better trade chips. We really don't know. It's not anything you can rely upon no matter how much you like the guy. So that's where it's like, yeah, middle infield right now still, for the third year in a row, is question marks. And that's where it's like Willy Adames answers a question. What you do with him in 2 years, that can't be the concern. Like, remember, you're the Red Sox. It shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't. We both know that's not how this is going to go, unfortunately.
That can't change my opinion. You know what I mean?
No, of course.
I've seen too many people bending to, that's not the reality. For fucking 30 years of my life, it was. So I'm going to continue to hold them to that standard. Other people I've seen, and that's what they want. They want people to hold them to a new standard. I won't. I refuse to do that. And even Milliken said the other day, we're projected at like 180 or something like that. So we've got roughly like $65-70 million in cap space. So that's where it's like, all right, if we can't find someone to eat Trevor Story's salary, even if we could pay half of it or something, which I'm very dubious of, because why would anyone want that? But if we can't do that, I don't give a fuck if you're paying him to sit. No one should care. No one should.
I really don't understand big market teams doing that. And number two, I really don't understand it when you're the Red Sox case and you actually have wiggle room. Like, at least in other teams' cases, like, as much as we don't like it, yes, the luxury tax changes how people do things.
Sure.
And they're up against it. So at least I understand that. The Red Sox have fucking wiggle room. You could sign Willy Adames and either tell Trevor Story to pound sand or tell him to hit the bench. Like, find some bench. Like, he has not done enough anywhere really to justify just giving him a spot just because he's making money. But they're going to do that because that's how baseball teams operate. It sucks, at least in this case for you. But it stinks that they operate that way, but that's what it is. I mean, I got to sit here and watch DJ LeMahieu get 20 at-bats a week. I don't want to watch that shit, but here we are. I don't want to watch that shit. Here we are because he's making $15 million. Bro, $15 million is good relief pitcher money. Who gives a fuck?
Sure. Well, that's the other thing. Was it Taylor Scott? Not Scott. Rogers. Taylor Rogers is available, and all you have to do is pay his money next year, which is $12 million. You know you're losing Kenley and Chris Martin. Is that $30 million off the books right there? This is a high leverage lefty you can just acquire for nothing. Like, that should be done today. I don't know when the waivers actually post, but that should have been already done.
There are so many teams that could use him too, because he's good left-handed reliever who can get left-handed batters out. That's an important fucking thing to have, especially come playoffs. You don't want to pay $12 million for him. I mean, to each their own. But, like, again, if you're a serious team trying to make a serious push, knowing that, again, you have wiggle room to maneuver under the luxury tax, that should be something they're all over. So.
And you're just replacing Chris Martin with him, essentially. Like, is it a perfect 1-for-1? No, of course not. But that's money you've already spent. You expect Justin Slayton to be better. You expect Penrod to be a part of this in some fashion. And just, if you want to believe Liam Hendricks is going to be your closer next year, I'm fine with that in theory. But he's getting well below market deal if he looks like the guy he was when he was last healthy. So you have a lot of bullpen money, if you want to look at it that way, ready to go. That's where it's like, it helps you in the immediate term, and it just checks one to-do thing off your free agency list. Like, in one fell swoop, you get both of those done. Seems obvious to me. Story's played 145 games over the 3 years he's been here. You can't, in good faith, and it's not me trying to shit on the guy, but you can't in good faith be like, that's our shortstop next year. Like, based on what? What is that based on?
and that's also the thing. Like, if you're going into the season expecting him to be your shortstop the entire season, you're doing it all wrong. There's nothing that he showed you that showed, like, fuck the performance. Like, the performance is what it is at this point. I don't know if he's still good or not because he never plays. But the point is, he never fucking plays. If you're going to the season say, like, all right, we expect him to be our starting shortstop for the majority of the season, you're doing it all wrong. Like, it's not performance reasons, it's health. Like, we don't know if this man can be healthy for an entire season. So, like, you're going into this, and he plays shortstop. It's not like he plays left. Whereas, all right, you can just put somebody out there. All right, you could cobble it together for 4 months and be fine. This ain't that. Like, he's playing fucking short. There's a shortstop out there who is a perfect fit, like offensively, perfect fit for that park. Right. And then he provides good value with his glove. And he's like 29. I don't think you're gonna have to give him a ton of years. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me.
Yeah, I mean, it's more like that'll be market depending because I've been trying to figure out in my head what he looks like. But even if it is going to be the same deal you signed Story to, I'm fine with that. It's a right-handed bat that's going to play at Fenway his whole career, and it's not coming from really Colorado good. Where we have to guess how's he going to respond to pitches moving. Right. We know how that works.
Right. Like if you have to give him 5 for 100, you do it.
That would be the easiest no-brainer of my life.
You have to do it.
He hit 24 home runs this year so far. He hit 24 last year, 31 the year before, 25 the year before that.
He's good.
Like this is just kind of what he does.
He's good.
And it's like maybe Meyer comes up, you move him to second base. Maybe Meyer becomes a trade chip if you do this. Like you open up so many opportunities that people are just outright like, no, we can't do that. And it's like, all right, I guess we'll just continue to be okay for 2 months a year and then not make the playoffs. I guess that's a strategy too. It's a strategy. There's no denying it's a strategy.
I think they should have faith in Trevor Story, personally. Just one man's opinion.
I'm sure you do think
unbiased
that.
Opinion. Oh, for
sure.
sure.
You do. He makes 70. Let me see if I did this math right. He makes $72.5 million over the next 3 years. That's not a ton. Like, obviously, it's a ton in real world money. For the Red Sox, that's not a ton. Like, eat that. Just fucking eat it. Move on.
I think teams should do that more often, personally, but, they won't. So
I know they won't. And it doesn't mean I'm going to agree with it.
Right. Shit. Again, we in the same spot. We got the old dusty ass former Colorado infielder, and team won't do nothing about it.
If they sign Adames and a pitcher and then they trade for another pitcher and Story's still here and they're like, hey, he's here, he's not guaranteed shit, I'll never talk about him again. If it's just like he's our super utility guy, yeah, it's a crazy price tag for that, but that's what he's doing. Cool. Like I just the guaranteeing of that's our starting shortstop outside of anything other than like trying to pick up his spirits is insane behavior. Like genuinely insane.
It is. I mean,
yeah.
Like if you want to say hey man, we'll bring in Willie and then Trevor could compete for the second base job, I feel like that's reasonable. Like
super reasonable. He's had his best season here playing second base.
Right. You want to because like you can't just walk in like here it is. The job is yours. That doesn't make any fucking sense. You don't know if he's good still, and you don't know if he can stay healthy.
I want to see if this works. I don't think it's going to. I know it's not going to. His year playing second base. Okay, so he did have a higher OPS than David Hamilton this year. Hamilton's rocking a 700, and Story was at 737. Mm-hmm. So it was marginally better, but it was better than what David Hamilton's done this year. David Hamilton's also a rookie who was not supposed to be playing professional baseball this year. So the fact that it's close isn't a great sign for Story either. But yeah, I'm in on him as a second baseman option. I don't even think he should just be handed that. Like
he shouldn't be. He absolutely shouldn't be. But if that's the lane that they want to go to try and extract value, to me that makes sense. Give me a shortstop job and be like, yeah, here it is. Like, no, bro, that can't be it. No.
The deadline before he was a free agent, I know the Padres called about putting him in the outfield. And I know other teams tried to sign him as an outfielder. If that's going to keep him healthy, I know a lot of his value is the glove, but at a certain point, if the glove's valuable for literally 8 games this year and then he gets hurt, that's not valuable at all. That's an antithesis of value. Like if he wants to be a utility guy and learn a new skill like left field. If O'Neal Cruz can play center field, I don't see why he can't play left.
Yo, the Pirates just getting up on a random Tuesday morning like, yo, O'Neal, you're gonna go play center. It's the wildest thing I've ever heard. Like, I don't.
Crazy.
When the off season is legitimately like 8 weeks away, and you could have just pushed this back until then and given him an entire offseason. All right, come back in February. You're going to be a center fielder, brother, or you're going to split time. However they want to parse that, you're going to split time. They're just like middle of August, like, yeah, you know what you're going to do? You're going to play center, baby. Get that mitt ready. Like,
I love the Pirates.
All right.
I love the Pirates. I've decided that's the team to try and take one of their pitchers from this offseason.
I mean, shit, who knows? I don't think they're going to trade them, but shit, you don't know until you ask. Closed mouths don't get fed. You might as well ask.
They also don't have any offense. That's where I think we do have something. Like before, it was like us, our team and your team were trying to get Bryan Reynolds and their closer, who I don't even think's in the majors anymore.
That one. Oh, yeah.
Bednar, yeah.
So sorry. We were on completely different pages. Bednar is in the majors. He's just getting pasted like every time out.
He's certainly not closing anymore. But yeah. Like I don't think Jared Jones should be gettable by any means, but if the Red Sox are going to put Duran on the table, which I think they will and should, I don't think that's a crazy unfair trade considering he still has 4 or 5 years of control left and they're all prime years.
Wait, what did you propose?
Like Duran for Jared Jones or Mitch Keller. I don't think they're willing to get, or Luis Ortiz, honestly. But
I hope they trade Jared Duran for Mitch Keller. Please do it. Please.
No, I wouldn't do that. I'm more saying those are the pitchers I'm looking at. If they're going to give up on any of them, Keller's probably the one.
That would be a disaster for the Red Sox. But yes.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we don't have a lot of good pitchers as is. Mitch Keller can make it through the season.
Mitch is fine, but he's so inconsistent. Oh my god,
sure,
it would drive me insane on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I wouldn't love it either, but it's still better than a lot of the shit we're throwing out there every week.
Fair.
But I was looking at, obviously Skeens is like their franchise, and I'm not an idiot. I do think you could have a conversation. Now, they just may not want to trade Jared Jones, which is a perfectly legitimate stance for them to take. But if their offense is going to continue to be dog shit, it really doesn't matter what their pitching does. Jared Duran's going to be a top 10 MVP guy. Maybe even that 5th spot could be his if he's going to keep hitting as he's been hitting. Mm-hmm. And again, he's not hitting free agency anytime soon. I think it's legitimately 4, if not 5 years of control, which is the exact type of player the Pirates, like they currently don't have a center fielder. You know what I mean? They're using their shortstop in center. And I say that as a team who's had their center fielder playing shortstop all year. Yeah. I don't think it's that absurd of a trade, as weird as it's, like at the beginning of the year, yeah, that would have been an insane thing to suggest. Right now, I don't think it's that insane.
It's not insane. I also think the Pirates have to add to it, though.
That I'm unsure of. Like, I don't know I don't think either team
but that also depends on like how people in the industry feel about how sustainable what Jared Duran did is. Right. Like I think Jared Jones, that kind of speaks for itself. Like we see how he throws the baseball. Like I feel like there are less questions that are not health related, but the health related questions are part of this. And then you have Jared Duran who's putting up, like he's legitimately one of the best players in baseball this year. And is there a lot of reason to believe that he's just going to stop doing this? I'm an optimist. I tend to believe in breakout guys. Like when they figure it out, they figure it out. But
I'm not trying to trade him because I think he's incapable of doing something similar again. It's more speed is why a lot of the reason why he's been able to add value both as a defender and all the doubles he's put up, all the stolen bases he's put up. The home runs, I think he's figured out. I think he has added 20 to 25 home runs a year to his arsenal. Right. The speed will deteriorate. That's not like a knock on him. That's just everyone who's ever lived.
Right, for sure.
So that's where it's just like, yeah, I know the speed will deteriorate. I also know all of our prospects are outfielders, and our best defensive center fielder is still Raffaello, who they just signed at the beginning of the season. So that's where it's like, it's more, right at the beginning of the year, you could have gotten nothing for Jared Duran, right? We know they started trying to float him for Jesus Luzardo and people like that. Other teams are just saying no. Yeah. And that's been the case for 3 years now. Like he hasn't had trade value since he first came up, and that was the 21 season. Right. He's had no trade value the last 3 years. Now he has trade value again. again. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm not saying I'm trying to dump him for nothing.
I mean, selling high is not like the world's worst idea.
It's not. No, it's not.
It's not the world's worst idea.
And you have Anthony Campbell, Willie Abreu. Like, these are all guys like are younger. Like, Jarren Duran's older than Rafael Devers. I don't think most people know that.
Really?
You know what I mean?
How old is he?
It's a month, but it's still older. Like,
how old is he? 27? 28?
I think he either turns 27 next month or 28 next month.
Okay.
But that's the thing. His breakout season coming. Yeah, he's 27 now, so he turns 28 in a week.
Okay, you know what? Never mind. I'll walk back to whatever what I just said about the Pirates having to add. Like, I'll walk that back. If he's 28, like that makes it. I still think like Jones for Duran straight would be fair for both parties. I wouldn't be in a rush to do that if I was the Pirates, though, simply because he is 28, just now having his breakout year. So,
for me, it's if he were a year from free agency, no, of course not. But the fact that his whole prime is just going to be arbitration, that's where I think it becomes
like I swore
very interesting.
Like I can't believe he's that old. I swore Homeboy was like 25.
Again,
I know he wasn't. I know he's not like 22. Like I knew he wasn't that. But like I thought he was like 24, 25. That's crazy.
Devers is 2 years into his extension, and he's not even an ARB1 yet.
That's crazy.
That's part of why it's like, yeah, it's not that I don't want to believe in this year, because this year has been unbelievable. It's not like he's a rookie either. That's where it's like I don't know how to weigh the two.
And I mean, like, we are kind of in an era where you can't really, outside of like the obvious guys, you can't really rely on knowing, yeah, we're going to get this out of most players, like yearly. Like, I mean, Julio Rodriguez is a great example.
Sure.
Like, really, really good player. We all believe in Julio Rodriguez. He's also been bad this year. Corbin Carroll has been bad up until
this month.
July. Yeah. Oh yeah, August. Like August, he started turning up. Like he's been really fucking good the last like 4 or 5 weeks. He was really bad before this. Now, obviously, like, he had a shoulder problem. I don't know how much of that played into it, or maybe Major League Baseball adjusted to him. But bro, it's never been hard to hit baseballs. It's never been harder. Like they have all the information. They throw fucking 98-mile-an-hour fork balls and all kind of wild shit. So like, it's never been hard to hit a baseball. I can't with confidence say Duran's going to build on this and be like not even just as good. I think it's unrealistic to expect him to duplicate this, but like let's say a small step back instead of like a medium or large step back. Like we can't say that with confidence because we just can't have that kind of confidence in the backup baseball players' cards anymore.
No, but that's it for today. I do have a meeting 3 minutes ago. But we will see everybody either next week or in 2 weeks. It remains to be seen. But
yes, sir.